The more general ones are in the General Code, section chapter 1. The first one is the Economic Development Council, which I will discuss. It's actually a board of directors. There's 5 directors on it that are elected to 5-year terms, and their actual job is as an advisory board, and they facilitate and affect long-term, sustainable, and systemic economic growth beneficial to the city of Odessa. That is their mission. So they work directly with our economic development director, and with them together they advise on how things should progress within the city. So the other odd piece to the Economic Development Board, which is different than any other board in the city, is you do not necessarily have to be a citizen in the city to be on the Economic Development Board. The actual reads that you either have to be a resident or have a substantial professional interest, business owner, property owner, something of that within the city to be on that board. So you do not actually have to be a resident, which all of the others you must. And you must be qualified and competent with regard to the role of the council. So you also have to be approved by the city council. It's, all these are appointments from the mayor that are approved by the Board of Aldermen. There was one other piece in this that I wanted to read. Again, emphasizing that it's advisory only capacity. I'm going to read their entire role as it is in the code. It says the council is to facilitate and effect long-term sustainable and systemic economic growth beneficial to the city of Odessa, Missouri, with respect to implementation, operation, and effectiveness of the City of Odessa, Missouri's program of economic development, and further to make recommendations to the Mayor and Board of Aldermen for facilitation of effectiveness of the economic development program. So they are an extension of the city's economic development team and provide a more in the know, involved in the city, involved in business within the city, to get that input directly to the city on how we need to move forward with economic development. Again, that is a 5-year term, and there are 5 members on that board. The last board that I will discuss before moving on, because I was told that to keep it to 20 minutes, and if people know me, I sometimes like to talk, so I told them to keep it to 20. Planning and zoning. This is probably the board that you hear the most about. It's usually in the paper, it's being discussed. It's something that is always out in front with all the ordinances and things that they deal with. The planning and zoning works very closely with our codes enforcement officer because when they decide to bring forward a change to an ordinance, any dealings with any type of our code, that code enforcement officer is the one that has to go out and apply that decision. So they very closely work with them. The duties for the Planning and Zoning Commission: it shall be the function and duty of the Commission to make and adopt plans for the physical development of the municipality. And that includes any areas outside of its boundaries, but within its statutory authority, which in the Commission's judgment bear relation to the planning of the municipality. So they are planning for the physical development. Where do we want to grow as a city and expand our boundaries? How do we want that to be zoned? That is their really true function on how we want to grow our city and make it a better place. The codes, as far as there's been current recent fencing codes, what types of, to make our town more beautiful, 2 different things. So that is really what the planning and zoning is doing. They are actually an 8-member board that is a 4-year term. So they're different than the previous boards that we just discussed, in that it's larger and it's also a 4-year term. And that those guys are appointed by the mayor and by the Board of Aldermen. And the only request, the only real requirement for that board, other than being a citizen of the city, is it says that we should try to get different professions and groups from within the city within that group. You don't want that board to be all of one profession or all from one area of town. You want to spread that out to have different viewpoints so you get better discussion, and that way you've got different viewpoints of how that code will be enforced or affect the citizens. It may affect this person differently than this person, and they wouldn't have known that without that person being on the board and actually discussing it. So actually having the different backgrounds and experiences and the, I'm trying to think of the right word to actually state it, but diversity, it would be the best word. The more diversity you have on that board, the better, because you're going to get a different perspective from all different people. And I actually think that's better for every board. So whenever we do have openings on these boards and I'm going and trying to find someone to fill that seat, I try to go and look at the people that are currently on that board. Where do they live within the city? What ward are they in? What's their background? What's their profession? What is something we're missing on that board? What do we need on that board to give a different perspective? So that is something that I try to look at and review. The difficult part is finding people who want to volunteer to be on those boards. If you're wanting to volunteer and be on that board, all you have to do is call the city, give us your name, address, and phone number, and let us know. I'd like to, if you have an opening, I'd like to be considered for such and such board. We're keeping a list of that. That way when we have those openings, I have some information to go from. If any of you know me, I have a rather large family in this town, and it becomes difficult to appoint people to boards at times. It's called nepotism. So it's good to have a good range and pool of people to choose from that want to become involved, be involved in the city, and make this a better place. That's why I've stayed here and decided to raise my family here, and hope they decide to do the same. I want the city to grow. I want it to be a better place than what it's been before, and I don't think it's been that bad. So that's my whole reason for wanting to do this, and that's the types of people we need to get on these boards. So please, if you're interested in becoming a part of the board or being a part of the city and the community, let us know, because these openings do happen. People's lives change, they move, their jobs change, and they call and say, I have to step down. I need somebody to take my spot. Well, we need those names so that people can step in and we can continue to move forward. And the only other board that I won't speak about, because Stephen will speak about it, is the board. So with that, I do want to do one introduction. Our new city administrator, today is his first day on the job, and he is here, John Holmes. So he is here, and in town, his son. So if you get a chance tonight to introduce yourself and welcome him, it would be greatly appreciated. So with that, I will turn it over to Mr. Bob Brinkley. He's our R7 School District Superintendent, and he will speak to you about the school district and the school.